This is RPM. This is Premier Division. It's a Thursday night. What better way to spend it than watching some Premier Division driving? We're here at Austria this week, and it's a bit different this week. No qualifying, as you can see on your screen here. We have a reverse order of the championship sprint race, and then where you finish in the sprint race dictates where you will start in the main feature race. And I have my glamorous assistant with me tonight, Kieran.
Hello, hello, hello.
Now, Kieran, you had a very interesting race last night. One of the most controversial races in history, as there's a lot of people saying you've won it, and there's a lot of people saying you finished, was it 7th?
Yeah, it was crazy race. I was on the soft tyres when everyone else was on hards or inters. And despite me spinning out on the second last corner, I somehow still won.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was a big spin as well. I still firmly believe that the championship. Oh, as Aston Martin of Zabiaka takes to the grass. What's he doing off here? It's an interesting line, Zab. Yeah, so tonight, reverse order grid, as we're saying. Nice to see some people in chat, Brian. Evening. Ivor saying, come on, Ferrari. Good evening, all. Nice to see you, Ivor. Well, Golly's got his work cut out. He's at the back of the grid at the moment. And he's going to have to find his way through. We are awarding points for the top 5 drivers in the sprint as well, so this does help in the championship. It will be 5 for first, down to 1 in 5th. Danos, nice to see you. And as always, Spritzy, good to see you. And he's looking for Huss to have a good race, as well as he thinks Glassy for the win. Yeah. Well, Glassy starting in 10th, I think he'll fancy his chances. And Spritzy also saying Cosmo first DNF. Well, you never know. And look at that parking from Zabiaka there, Kieran. He's facing right into the wall.
It's an interesting way to park. Can't say I've seen it before.
Absolutely. Quite a few people get disqualified on the grid there already, so they're going to have cold tyres, because I do believe it resets your tyre temps. And that's 4, 5. Okay, let's go. And off to a start there. Zabiaka also getting very, very sideways off the start there. Not so surprising. It's the Haas dives down the inside and takes second place. That's Volcano. And there's a spin at the back. Yeah, and that's Andrew at the back. Yeah, and he's lost his front wing. So absolute disaster for Andrew. And that's happened quite a few times in the last few weeks. As Giraffe has a nice, safe getaway. But he's under pressure from Volcano, who I believe is up quite a few positions already.
Magus has wing damage.
Yeah, and I'm guessing he got caught behind the Andrew incident then there, Kieran.
And Glassy as well.
Oh, and Glassy, so absolute nightmare for Glassy there, getting that damage. But he is still up in 7th. Zabiaka's going backwards at the moment.
Glassy's off.
And Glassy's off.
I think Glassy made contact.
Yeah, he's definitely got some damage now. I'll have a look at the telemetry here to see if I can see what's happening. Yeah, and Glassy, yeah, he's got a front right. Oh, and he's damaged his floor, so it's an absolute disaster for him so far. And he is taking to the pits. Colin, as Brian says in chat, already up to P9 and absolutely flying. But don't forget about Robin and Volcano, who've had very, very quick starts. Seeing the battling going on all the way down the field here. And if there's any predictions in chat, as always, drop them in. But it's been a pretty breathless start at the moment, as we got Robin and Sinful doing battle here. And a bit of contact as Dragos also... Yeah. And I went wide there myself. Higgsy's out. And inorganic, I don't know if you've seen this, but bloody hell, that was a bit... Oh no. Robin and Sinful, that was really untidy of Robin there. Yeah, I was just about to say, at the exact time Higgsy retired there, I had a comment come in, and can you guess who it was from, wishing somebody good luck?
Inorganic.
Inorganic, wishing Higgsy good luck. At the exact same time, Higgsy retired. That's the
Can't be a
quickest one
coincidence.
yet. I need to get that spreadsheet up and running because that was literally within half a second. Well, so Higgsy's going to have his work cut out in the race, but it's not the end of the world. I'll have a quick look to see if there's anything happening weather-wise, if I can see it. I'm not as good at this as possibly you are.
It looks like it's gonna stay dry.
Yeah, that's very true. It might start off wet, I'm seeing, in the second race, but it's only a small chance that'll happen. Now, I'll just see if I can get some of these battles. Zabiaka actually, after losing those places, has managed to find himself back up in third, but there is a bit of a bottleneck here at the moment because he is... Everyone's seeming to... Well, there was a bit of a bottleneck before, obviously, this virtual safety car where he dropped back from the front two. As we see Dragos making a move for position on Robin. And Robin already back to fifth after that little incident he had with Sinful. And I don't think Sinful will be too happy about that one. Nice to see you, F1 Widow. Good evening. How goes it, Wardy? Nice to see you. 8 for Colin, positions, both passes, amazing start. Yeah, I'm trying to catch up on the chat as well because I've not been able to take my eyes off this so far. But Zabiaka under some massive pressure at the moment. There's a train falling behind him as Dragos goes to the inside now. Will Zabiaka try to switch back? No, nothing doing there. And Luke, this is what we expect from Luke, isn't it, Kieran? Slowly going about his business. Seen him up in fifth, and he's actually leading his teammate, who's absolutely flying round at the moment.
Colin's already made up like 12 positions. He just got overtook by Robin. Just
yeah, and
you never usually see.
Oh, and he's going down the inside there, and I have a feeling Robin's going to fight this one hard, and they do make contact. I know Robin, he's been on the chat before saying he thinks he'll go well on Thursdays, so he'll be keen to have a battle with Colin, and I think this is going to be a big battle. But he's putting him under huge pressure at the moment. Now, I had, for you, Kieran, and the chat, I was speaking to Entity before the race, about half an hour before the race.
There's an Aston Martin.
Oh, and it's collected Colin!
Colin!
Yeah, and he lost it on the outside. Oh, and he's took out another car. Oh, my God. And... Oh, absolute disaster. Zabiaka spins on the outside by getting too deep into that corner. Yeah, I'm not surprised. It collected so many people, and a few people got away quite lucky there. That plays massively into this man's hands. Glassy, after having a nightmare start, is back in it, but I do believe he has floor damage. Entity taking a pit stop. I think he's going to take a gamble, put them softs on. We love that. Colin will be absolutely gutted. He was going so well through there. He was in a bit of a battle with Robin, and nothing he could do to avoid that. But
see, Inorganic put Colin second in the sprint.
The conspiracy continues. Oh, Inorganic. As I was saying before about Entity being in plumb last, I spoke to him before the race, and this is what he said, quote to you, Kieran, is, "You'll never see me spin, you'll just see me win." It doesn't look that likely at the moment, does it?
He has lost 9 positions.
I'm pretty sure he's had a spin. I know he watches these back, and we always have a laugh at his expense. He is a very good driver, but he can have a good laugh. So he's an easy target for us. Zabiaka saying, "That's a shame. I collect Colin. I'm sorry, mate. I lost it." Well, yeah, we saw you lost it on the outside, Zab. Unfortunately, it spits you back out into the middle of the track. I don't think you did anything really wrong. You stayed still, didn't drive across the line. It's just one of those things, and people do get caught up in it sometimes. But Colin's still going, and you never know what he can do. And by the looks of it, he didn't get any further damage than the wing. Whereas Zab, if you're still listening, looking at your damage, there's a lot of red going on. As you could probably tell by your car being wheeled away. Wardy saying Volcano, Luke, Backer, 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, Backer's gone about his business a bit quietly here, up 2 places. You got any predictions for us, Kieran?
I would have said Colin, but maybe that have to be for the race. But for the sprint, I'm thinking Volcano might win. I can see Luke and Backer taking second and third.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad shout. Volcano's been looking very, very racy here. Who do I think? I think Giraffe's been going well. He's managed to keep that gap to Volcano when we have been racing. Obviously, we had a virtual safety car and now a safety car. I'm looking at Davie and Quinn actually, and thinking they could have a good go of it. But also, we've had a few people pit for tyres, so a few people put the softs on. So we could see Robin, Maggot, DZ Carton or DZ Carton, Colin, Sinful and Entity flying through. But obviously you've got, what, 4 or 5 laps to do it if the safety car comes in here. So not much time to make that ground up.
It'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, and how did you find the tyre wear here? Did you find it was high deg or low deg?
I found it high deg, especially the softs at the end of the race. I was up to like 80%.
Yeah,
That's probably why I spun.
I was putting some serious pain through my rear left tyre, and it was really unsettled. Zabiak, love that. I always want to start from the back, just like you, Matt. Yeah. I love starting from the back because then I can just watch all the good drivers in front of me. Right, as we resume racing, and we've got Davie in very closely behind Cosmo here. This is the closest battle on track at the moment. But Glassy not too far behind us either. Glassy having a look up the inside, faking that one a little bit. As Manotla picks up a 3-second penalty, and Davie getting a bit out of shape out of there, but he's still on the back of Cosmo here. Obviously DRS will be disabled for these couple of laps here. Glassy getting very, very close under braking behind there, as he is also under pressure from Robin. And Robin, obviously, on those soft tyres, will be looking to make up any positions he can. I'm going to just... Now, what am I doing here? Get rid of that. Someone's off track. And Cosmo, goes in really deep into the gravel trap and keeps nicely enough out of the way. And that will promote some of these soft runners ahead of him, and Andrew also after his disastrous start. As the Haas goes round, clips the Aston Martin by the look of it, and that was the Haas of Robin. So Robin has dropped it, and he is now at the back. Entity getting an overtake done. If you're watching it back, Entity, I think that's one of the best overtakes I've seen you make. Absolutely brutal tonight. Woke up and chose violence, Kieran.
Exactly.
As we've got Volcano now, and there's another yellow, that's Robin. Still, he's not moving, he might be beached or something there. But Volcano very, very close behind the Williams of Giraffe at the moment. And Giraffe yet to score a point this season.
Backer's out.
Backer's out. And absolute disaster for the Dutch driver. And yeah, he's lost it on traction at the top of the hill. I was just trying to have a look at that. Robin's a bit too far back. So Backer will be starting from the back of the grid. As Backer saying, Backer out, what a surprise. As Glassy moving himself up into 7th place, and he's still got Davie close for company. And the soft tyre runners not quite made as many inroads as I thought they would here, Kieran, but I guess that's because there's been some spins ahead of them.
Yes, I saw Colin make some overtakes and a fastest lap just now, so I know this might sound a surprise, but I don't think Colin's going to get points this sprint.
No, absolutely not. I don't think so. He has this time successfully negotiated an Aston Martin. Last time he saw an Aston Martin in Sector 1, he was hitting it, so he'll be glad to see that in his rear-view mirror. Or, well, wing mirrors in this case. Now let's have a look what else gaps we've got. Sminotla in close behind, but Davie and Glassy, they are battling all the way round, but they're losing time to the top 5, and it's only the top 5 that gets points in this sprint. But obviously the key thing for them is their position on the grid.
Volcano overtook Giraffe for first.
An absolutely great spot, and he now seems to be pulling a very, very nice gap out in front. But Giraffe will have a dose of DRS to try and reel him back in, but I think that should be it done for this, because Volcano seems to have some really, really good pace, up 7 positions so far. A big shout out though to Davie, who's up 13 places, up into 7th. Huss as well, up 9, and Colin up 10. Well, he's had to do that twice. Colin up 11. He's just got Quinn. Quinn's got no DRS, so he's going to struggle to fight that one. Alpha Tauri, might make contact with Colin.
On the inside.
It's all getting very...
funny.
Yeah, and it was all getting a bit chaotic there. And the Mercedes now up the inside. I'm on board with the Aston Martin, who's got the best view of this. And it's contact with the Alpha Tauri and the Ferrari. And it's all getting very, very scrappy here. And there's now about 6 or 7 cars fighting for the same piece of tarmac. And this is where some really good battling's going on.
This is like what happened yesterday in the sprint.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so, so close on track. It's great to see. Is Colin now really close in behind Quinn. And it's going to be round 2. So Colin, who did overtake Quinn in the first sector last lap, is going to have to do it all over again. And I imagine he'll just focus on his exit here. But I think he's getting an Aston Martin throwing it up the inside of him. He is. Maggot is now fancying a piece of it. And that's maybe meant that Colin's just had to pull off the throttle a little bit. And he's going to be forced to the outside here. But he keeps it very, very nice, and he's still in 9th there. This is the final lap of the race, though, so Colin will not be scoring any points in this, but he will be promoting himself. As he drives down the inside, he might just get a bit of traction off those soft tyres, as we see, I think Sminotla's had a spin, yeah. And Quinn still gamely holding off Colin here. And I will just go up to the front just to see. Yeah, Volcano round the final corner, and he will win the sprint, followed by Giraffe. Luke, after a really good race from Luke, up into 3rd. Dragos 4th, Huss 5th, so they will take points. The rest, it's all about grid position. So you got Davie, Glassy, Quinn. Colin held off by Quinn. Maga, Andrew, DZ, Carton, all up places. And then, I mean, you can just see there, Sinful, Entity, Cosmos, Sminotla and Robin really losing out hugely, as well as Baka and Zabiaka. And, well, Higgsy got cursed a fair bit by Inorganic. We can excuse that one.
He was last in qualifying last week in Belgium, Higgsy. And he went up to 6th.
That's absolutely true. And I do believe he just missed out on the driver of the week last week. I think it was very, very tight competition last week. But yeah, if he can do the same again, then he could be up for another nomination this week. And you can never put it past Higgsy. Got great racecraft. But talking about racecraft, I mentioned it in the chat yesterday. Luke, very well done up in 3rd place there. And that's what we've been hoping to see all season. Wardy says, what's the weather for the race? I will take a look now and tell you.
Still looking dry.
Yeah, so what I've got here is it's overcast start, but dry, apparently, with a 22% chance of rain. But the chance of rain diminishing as the race goes on. So it looks like we're going to have a fully dry race, which is contrary to what we've had in the First and Championship division. Yours was particularly tough last night, I thought.
Yeah, there was rain pretty much through most of it. and I didn't have a wet setup. So
Yeah, and
I
it
used my
got
dry setup, hoping for that the race would be dry.
yeah, yeah, and it got super wet towards the end, didn't it? I think, and because you were on the soft tires at that point, and I think it's a tough one to know when it's changing conditions, when to change, and exactly like you said, like what setup do you go for? It's really difficult, but it's much easier for these guys tonight so far. Right, in chat, if we've got any predictions for the race, that would be great. Kieran, I'm going to ask you what you think will happen in the race. I'm guessing you're going to think Colin win is still on the cards.
How did you know?
I've never heard of him. Has he ever won before?
Don't know.
Um,
Uh,
but to round out your podium, who you fancying for that?
I'm gonna say Davie's gonna end up on podium. And Glassy.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call. Glassy, actually, with a bit of floor damage last race, still had very good pace. I see Zabiaka in chat saying Zab P1. I'm assuming that's what you're expecting to be where you start the sprint race in round 6 on another reverse grid. I had to, Zab. You've already told me I finish at the back all the time. But here we go for the race. We'll take a little look at the tyres here. And we've got a fair difference in strategies. And I've got to say, I've got a soft spot for Glassy tonight. He's going for the gamble. Soft tyres, love to see it. We've got Giraffe on hards, Davie on hards, and then most of the hard runners then in the bottom 10. So they're trying something different. In organic saying Colin, Volcano and Glassy, I actually think that's a very, very good prediction. Inevitably though, when it comes from your username, it's not going to happen, is it? Something's going to go horribly wrong. All 3 of them will probably either lose internet or there's a power cut or something like that. That'll happen. A nationwide power cut or something. But yeah, Volcano going very, very well there. And this is the kind of form we saw from him early in Season 5. And it's good to see him back at the front again. And he'll be looking to just pull away from this because Giraffe in behind on those hard tyres is going to be struggling for grip in the first few laps. And he'll look to build that gap before the likes of Glassy and Colin can make it through, I would think.
Yeah.
As they all now taking to the grid, I think we're just waiting on Higgsy to come round the final corner, and that's right. Oh, we've actually got an AlphaTauri behind him, who's darting around a little bit. Entity disqualified from the session, really struggling with his parking once again. But he'll hopefully get to the end of the race. Yeah, and it looks like for Glassy, the predicted pit stop strategy saying soft, mediums, then hards, but we've got 5 lights. Okay, let's go. And Volcano actually having a very, very good launch, and he is very nicely away. And McLaren, I think that's Glassy onto the grass a little bit on the outside there, as it's all kicking off behind. Yeah, and Luke's gone very, very wide. That's allowed a few people through, and he's struggling to get back on track. Couldn't get the best angle at it. And there is so many cars in such close proximity here. And this could all end in tears at the moment. Volcano has completely checked out. And they're all doing battle here. And Luke again, 2 in 2 corners, getting pushed off the road there. And he's wide again. And he's already down to 13th from 3rd. Disastrous start for him. Glassy has also lost out, but he's now making those soft tyres work. Gets very, very close in behind Andrew there, who's also had quite a good start. Colin up to 6th now, managing it well. I say 6th, he's up to 5th. So Giraffe's hard tyres just not warming up at all at the moment. But a very, very good start for the Alfa Romeo drivers. Huss and Davie up at 2nd and 3rd. Dragos in between him, and then Colin, the man we're on board with. But Glassy is getting very punchy here, and he's having a look down the inside of Andrew. And Andrew just has to yield a bit. Glassy got his nose in, and Glassy will take 7th position. And wow, what a start. That was absolutely crazy going up to the hairpin.
Surprised there was no damage from there.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've seen Giraffe, he ran wide again there. So Giraffe's now going to be under pressure from Glassy. Well, he's already through, and now he's under pressure from Andrew. And it's been a disastrous start for Giraffe, who had a very, very good sprint there. But he's holding on the inside, but he's going to lose that position. And the next person is Quinn right behind him, putting pressure on. He's just not able to get those tyres fired up at the moment.
Is he on the hards?
He's on the hards, yeah. And as
Gonna have to do more work to get them hards up to speed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one person, Davie's kind of there. He's lapping slower than the medium runners. It is Colin also directly behind him. So obviously Colin is gaining with his natural pace. And gain he does. He gains a position, yeah. But if Davie can hang in there on those hards, he could be on a very, very good strategy here.
Entity spun.
And Entity spinning around like Kylie Minogue. And I think we have DRS enabled. Yep, so Colin is now having a look for another Alfa Romeo. And he is past and on the inside of the corner. He will make that one stick.
Car's gone 3 wide from around 10th. And Sinful spun.
And Sinful's
around.
Yeah, I see that just there. Oh, and he's struggling to get back on. As Minotla now putting pressure on Cosmo. So yeah, it's really tight battling in the midfield and quite a bit of contact so far. And you actually said, oh wow, Minotla going very, very sideways there. You actually said to me before we came on air that it's going to be a bit of a battle of track limits as well. And it has in First and Championship, hasn't it? There's been a lot of penalties. And I think
but in here there hasn't.
Yeah, so far I think it will come though, because I think if you have a little moment or something, it's very, very easy to then run wide and pick up a track limit. Giraffe, unfortunately, is now under massive pressure from Zabiaka, who gets overtaken by Higgsy. And look at Higgsy go. He's up to 12th, and he's fancying another last to top 5, or well, nearly top 5 again. And he's having a look at the Williams. He's gone past, but here comes Zabiaka. Can he do anything about that? Zab on the inside. He's having a look. He puts his nose up there. No contact, luckily. And back is out. Yeah, back is out. An absolute disaster for Backer. And that's a safety car,
Safety car.
Wow.
Because of Backer.
I'm going to have to take a sip of water here, because it's been pretty fast racing.
All the cars are starting to get spread out, and now the safety cars come out and bringing all the cars closer again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some people are pitting.
Yeah, and I think that's people trying to get their free pit stops at the moment. A lot of people going to the hards. So a lot of people. Are they going to hard? Yeah, I'm right. Yeah. So Glassy and Andrew, then Kieran, and Colin, they're thinking we'll take these to the end. They're just going to casually do 30 odd laps on the hard tyres. Do you think we'll start to see big tyre deg on that?
I think their tyres will be very destroyed towards the end. Some people have gone to mediums, so they'll definitely make another pit stop.
I think my hard tyres were on Tuesday after 25 laps. I want to say they were like 60 odd %. So it's going to be getting into the territory where the tyres are completely shot, isn't it? Towards the last 2-3 laps, their tyres are going to be a little bit nervy.
They're going to be worse than my softs yesterday.
Yeah, you can imagine with all the sliding around you did, those softs were not enjoying it in those damp, treacherous conditions towards the end.
Terrible to drive in.
I think it was a great call if the race had maybe been 3-4 laps shorter, unfortunately. But that happens in racing. That's what makes it so exciting. And when that strategy does go right, it almost feels as good as overtake sometimes.
Yeah, I know how to love a gambler. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I saw it in chat and I was absolutely buzzing. I tried to do it myself, to be fair. I gambled about 2 laps before the rain properly started coming down in First Division onto the Inters, which proved to be my downfall. My engineer, the glamorous backer, was telling me, definitely don't do it, wait another 2 laps, which would have been perfect advice. I said, no, I want to go now. And it did not work out. So, yeah, in our little team debrief, I got a bit of a slap on the wrist for that one, so I think I'll have to be using my ears rather than my mouth in the future. But yeah, it's the thing for Colin, Andrew and Glassy here, as well as Giraffe, who also pitted as the safety car comes in at the end of this lap, is they've now got to do it all over again, get through that field. And these guys have had a couple of laps now where they haven't had to put any load into the tyres. Their tyres aren't as bad as they normally would be. So they've got their work. They've got a free pit stop, but they've also got their work cut out. And as we've seen so far, Kieran, it's been real exciting, tight racing in the midfield.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more overtakes.
Absolutely, as Volcano now absolutely sending it towards the line, and he'll look to build that gap again. Davie trying to keep pace. Zabiaka's out. And where is that? Oh, he's done what Bakker did in the sprint race, I believe. I think it was Bakker that dropped it on the final corner, was it? Oh, and Colin having a massive moment there.
Yeah, I think Bakker did that during the actual race, which caused the safety car.
Yeah, so it's a real issue for traction control there, and I'm hearing a bit of wheel banging going on. Yeah, and Zabiaka not too happy with that one. And Zabiaka, you really have now done a race like I would, because you've managed to get 2 DNFs. And trying to look for the battles here, we got Entity and Giraffe, the 2 Williams, in close behind DZ Carton, who is actually a championship driver from your division, and he's reserving tonight in the Premier Division. But the battle I'm excited for here, 7th and 8th, Quinn and Luke, the 2 bros, and they are about to do battle on track, and this could be very interesting. Be prepared, mum and dad. The boys might be fighting soon. And Quinn getting very, very close in behind there. But Luke also on the back of Higsy here, and I forgot about Higsy there for a second. What a race from him so far. He wants that Driver of the Week nominee. And he's up 14 places only after 8 laps. Obviously there's been some incidents, and Cosmo is off. And he has fallen back down the order, as you can see on the left hand side of your screen there. And thanks for that call, Kieran. I nearly missed that.
Maggot and Hussock are gone side by side before.
And Wardy definitely supporting the Ferrari brother there in chat, as I see. And you say Maggot and Huss were side by side, going on board with this battle now, as they're a bit further up the road. And we'll see what they're doing. And Huss, actually, this season, you've watched him a few times with me now, Kieran, he's been going very well this season, moving up to Premier Division, getting some good, consistent results. And again here, top 5. One of the only drivers not to change position in this race. So going along very steadily.
Yeah, and looking at telemetry, Alfa Romeo are ahead of Ferrari in the constructor standings.
Yeah, and they'll be, well, you certainly have Luke and Colin who aren't far behind looking to change that, but yeah.
Colin sent a dive bomb, made contact with Luke.
Yeah, so that's getting a bit testy over here, and we've got Quinn in between both of them, and it's Colin arriving on a scene of the brothers battling, and Quinn currently is in the middle of the Ferrari sandwich, closely followed by Andrew in the Red Bull. Yeah, and you're completely right. At the moment, Alfa Romeo would go top of the constructors. Obviously, there's a long race to go, but this would also put Davie just 13 points off Colin. So it's close up that driver standards as well. And now Quinn with the DRS open, but Colin's got a double draft here. He has to back out of it. Quinn going up the inside. Colin getting it all slowed down. He'll look to get both of them. He's certainly going to get looped by the looks of it, but he might get boxed in by the Mercedes in front of him. Opens his DRS, pulls over to the inside, and he's going to actually overtake both of them.
And
he's got through, but look at Andrews right on the scene now. And Glassy as well, and it is all getting very, very tense down here. But look at the gaps ahead. Colin, 1.6 seconds. He'll probably motor on after Higgsy, but these guys now dropping back massively from Higgsy with all the fighting. Oh, it's a Mercedes, yeah, Quinn off. He got on the curb, and I just saw him, he tried to correct it, lost it the other way. And, yeah, that's an absolute disaster for Quinn there. He was going so well.
I think Cosmo went off as well.
Did he? Let's have a look. Yeah, Cosmo, unfortunately, right at the back at the moment. Oh, and Quinn's spun again.
Other tyres overheated.
Yeah, they're absolutely cooked at the moment. And Wardy celebrating that one. And that would, as it stands, I think that, let's have a look. Mercedes, yeah. So, Ferrari, for you in the chat, Wardy, looking at the live all gear standings here, would be only 7 points off Merc if it stays as it is. So that's worked out nicely for you. Sinful still getting a few points down in 13th as it stands. But back onto what's happening at the front, and it's Dragos getting closer to Davie. So Dragos having a very, very good race tonight so far, and looking very, very racy indeed. And he's looking to put Davie under some pressure. I actually thought Davie would check out from this a bit. And I'll just go quickly take a look at that. And yeah, he's lost it where Quinn lost it. But back on board, Dragos now, who's got a big help in a DRS up into the uphill braking section here. And Volcano hasn't actually managed to extend that gap much at all, to be fair. Only 2 seconds. So these guys keeping pace with him at the moment. And there's a yellow flag. I do believe that could be Quinn, you know.
Yeah, I think that is.
And it just, his tyres aren't living with it anymore after that spin, and it was a big spin. Obviously he came back on, and they also had gravel on them, so he's just got no grip out at the moment. And I think that's Quinn again, you know.
This is a terrible race for Quinn.
Yeah, it was all going so well, and it shows. And I was speaking to Backer about this the other day. With it being such a short lap, about 1:07 seconds to 1:09 seconds in the race, well, in dry conditions, if you make a mistake, not even a massive one, you can end up nearly a lap down very, very quickly.
Yeah, I think Quinn's about to get lapped by Volcano.
Yeah, and Volcano, I'll go to that now. Yeah, Quinn getting out the way. And Volcano now passing him under blue flags. And yeah, Quinn's just having... And just to think, 2 laps ago, he was in this battle. Well, Higgsy, who's just overtaken him now. Quinn was right behind Higgsy. So that just shows you that mistake. And all of a sudden, 2 laps later, he's lapped.
And now Luke is about to lap Quinn.
Yeah, and that's adding insult to injury. Hutt and Colin doing battle here, though, at the moment. as Colin moves himself up into 5th place. I think Huss tried to defend it a little bit because he's got his teammate Davie up ahead, so he's wanting at least Davie to have a little bit of protection before Colin really starts to come after them. But Colin is on fire at the moment, absolutely flying, as the Huss actually ran quite wide there. Higgsy now very, very close in behind him.
Giraffe's retired.
And Giraffe has retired, and that is in the middle sector, and that has caused a second safety car here. Now,
He's back in here.
Yeah, hopefully he's allowed to. They should allow him to. Well, yeah, because he's pitted as well. So I imagine everyone else will pit. They'll be stuck, and Quinn, the safety car, should let him go. So good news for Quinn. His race is back on track to some degree. Now, the medium runners are loving this because they get a free pit stop back, and their hard tyres are going to be so much fresher than likes of Higgsy, Colin. Sorry, not Higgsy. Higgsy started on the hards. The likes of Colin, Andrew, Glassy, and Robin, who pitted on the first safety car. So it's all going to get very, very interesting from here because their tyres are going to be dead at the end. It's actually a bit of a conundrum for Higgsy, who started on the hards, I believe. But if he pits, he's got to take the mediums. And will they go that distance? I'm not sure they will. So he opts to stay out for the moment. Colin also staying out, as we knew he'd have to, on the hard tyres. And the same with Andrew and Glassy, and everyone else opting to take that free pit stop. So, yeah, for Colin, Andrew and Glassy, that safety car advantage on the pit stops they had before is actually now gone. Obviously, we know these guys are really quick and they've now got the track position, but they're going to be on 10-lap older tyres. So in the last few laps when it's getting sketchy, the guys behind, well, their hards will be in a really nice zone. They might have just gone through a bit of phase of graining and they'll be still finding grip.
I see Sinful and Entity have gone onto the soft.
And I see in chat we've got our Pirelli expert here in organic saying these mediums will last about 15 laps. So for Higgsy, that's why he's not pitted. He needs to wait till about lap 20. Wardy's saying Colin could do 99 laps on soft. Fortunately, he doesn't have to. It's only 36 laps.
I wish I could have done 99 laps on soft yesterday.
I could barely get through one lap on soft. I'm usually binned it on a straight, a start-finish straight. I'd like to say I'm just getting close to my mechanics so they can see the car in all its detail, but it's usually just my poor driving. Brings Andrew back into this race a bit as well. I mean, Higgsy, it's gone really well for, but he is disadvantaged by the fact he's going to have to pit. Volcano looks in a very, very nice position here, Kieran. On those fresh hard tyres, right in behind these guys on the older hard tyres. His first 2 laps, he's not having to put anything into them. And he for me is in prime position here. I still think it's hard to look past Colin, but I think we could have some great racing from Volcano towards the ends of the race, putting them under pressure.
Yeah, Davie behind has fresh mediums, so he could be going faster than Volcano.
Yeah, he's going to be really punchy at the start. Towards the end, it's going to be a struggle, though. Surely Davie's going to have to employ an element of tyre management here. And Simple, actually, an entity. Well, we love the gamblers, don't we, Kieran? Strategy-wise, I think it's an absolute disaster, but I love it. Get those soft tyres on. The worst thing is Quinn didn't get allowed to overtake the safety car, which is a shame. Damage info I'm going to check for as we go in live again. I'll check that for you now, Wardy, because sorry, Inorganic saying you thought you saw Andrew get damage. I'll check. As DZ, Carton, Pitts and Colin gets a very, very nice start, and Carton gets yeah, and that's an absolute disaster for him.
Glassy and Andrew gone podium.
Yeah, and just seeing that in the background here, and going on board with Volcano, who's got a great view of it happening in front. I'll get back on board because this is going to be really, really tight through here. Yeah, Inorganic, to answer your question, no, Andrew doesn't have any damage. Just check the telemetry. All good so far, but getting very, very close here with Glassy. It's looking very, very good for McLaren at the moment. 2nd and 4th at this point. But as we said, Higgsy still to pit. And Andrew through at the moment, but Glassy not giving it up, but takes quite a bit of curb there and has to back out. We also have a yellow flag. I think that's Quinn. I wouldn't be surprised if Quinn retired in the pit lane, being that lap down, to be honest. Not that I want to see him do that, I just think it was really quite harsh of the safety car not to let him pass and rejoin the race. As we got Glassy and Davie now doing battle, and Glassy just struggling a little bit off the restart here. The guys on the fresher tyres making him work. It's Glassy! Oh, and he's done what I did on Tuesday to Schnellerhenk, and oh no. Oh, and a horse! Volcano's out! So what happened to him? He got clipped by someone.
And that's another safety car.
And Volcano, who was looking so strongly positioned for this, and now we could see some people pitting for medium tyres because they might be able to get them to the end by the time it's in. Yeah, it works out really nicely for Higgsy here. He's going to lose track position, but rather than losing 25 seconds, he's going to lose a lot less. So he'll fire it straight into the pits, I'd imagine. And yeah, Glassy just trying to defend, and it's exactly what I did. And you kind of, it's quite easy to lock up, and then you go straight into the back of someone, and yeah, spin them round. Really unfortunate there. And then Volcano getting caught up in kind of that coming together. I'm not sure exactly who touched him, but obviously so many cars so close together.
Took floor damage.
And Andrew's got floor damage.
Glassy and Volcano have damaged wings, but that's kind of obvious.
Yeah, it's an absolute nightmare. And
also Quinn retired.
So Quinn retired in the pit lane, but to find out a lap later he would have had a safety car, he might have actually been able to overtake that time. That's probably, well, I'm sure he wasn't listening to me, but I guess never say never with this kind of stuff. You got to just chance it. And Danos in chat saying carnage. Yeah, absolutely. And Inorganic saying he'd predicted Volcano for second. Now, Kieran, I don't know if you can tell me where Volcano is.
He's out.
He's out. That's what we call in RPM a classic Inorganic prediction. Who else did you have Inorganic? If you put it in chat again, I can't remember quite who you had. Quinn saying, oh, he had rear wing damage, which explains. So when he dropped it, he must have gone backwards into the barrier, and that's such a shame, Quinn. We were loving seeing you do battle with your bro. But it is really undrivable with rear wing damage. And Danos saying shame for Quinn. He was doing well. Yeah, he was doing really well until the spin. But he'll come back stronger. If you've got any predictions, Quinn.
Quinn has dropped to 7th in the championship.
And there we go. Look at that. Kieran, the absolute expert on our new telemetry system. And Inorganic saying he has Colin, Volcano and Glassy. Well, I'd imagine Glassy's going to be in the steward's room after that spin. So if you're watching this back, Glassy, I'll see you in the ticket. I'm not reporting it, but I'm sure Volcano will. Was it Volcano he spun round? No, it wasn't Volcano. It was
tapped
Andrew.
Andrew.
Yeah, that's it. And a bit of a domino effect, but yeah, I'll be seeing him shortly, I'm sure. So Glassy might not be the best prediction there for you in organic, but Colin, wow, that's looking very astute as always. We've still got 16 laps to go though.
Ferrari are in the lead of the all tiers constructors.
And that will please Wardy greatly. Yeah, they do usurp Mercedes at the top, and they will go, because they, at this point, Ferrari will be getting 50 points, with Mercedes just getting 3 points, so it's a huge swing in Ferrari's favour tonight in Premier Division for the All Gears. Right, as we go racing again, Colin Bolt's going into the second to last corner, runs a little bit wide off the apex there, but he is flying away. Davie trying to go with him. He's got the fresher medium tyres, so he might be a bit punchy these first few laps. Colin, the master of restarts, getting away. Plus, also here, the Alfa Romeos always seem to be up in the top four every time I look. Andrew is going backwards. Yeah, that's Andrew. And so he's lost it right at the first corner. I don't think we'll have anything more for that. It'll just be a yellow flag and set to 1 for the time being. And I'm just going to check on these penalties here, because yeah, we've got Davie with the 5-second penalty, speeding in the pit lane. Huss 3-second penalty, so that could be very costly come the end of the race. They've got Maggot and Glassy close in behind them, as Robin and Dragos doing battle. Dragos going back up the inside, Robin hanging it round the outside, and Dragos is round, keeps it out the barrier though. And Robin back to chasing after Glassy at the moment.
Cosmo will draw a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, and Cosmo actually finds himself back up in 9th after an early spin, so he's done well to come back up through the field. But I think Higgsy will be causing him problems very soon. I'll get back onto the tyres so you can see in chat what's happening there. Robin now round the outside of Glassy. Glassy on quite old hard tyres, but relatively at the moment Robin's on quite old medium tyres. They're probably similar amounts of grip at this point. Retired. And Andrew's retired, and I think you said he had floor damage, right? So that might explain how undrivable his car was looking, and it's turned out to be an absolute nightmare for Red Bull today. Bakker and Andrew out of the race.
Oh, Robin's off.
Yeah, and I just saw that going wide into the gravel, and Glassy says thank you very much and see you later as he pushes on into 5th place. Luke now very, very close. So Luke on what we're saying, a very good strategy at the moment. And actually, up at the front, if you can keep an eye on it for me, Kieran, Davie is so close behind Colin.
Davie's going to have DRS as well.
Yeah, it just enabled this lap, I believe, and same behind. Luke is got DRS on Glassy and gets a really good exit too. And Luke will be passed, and Glassy not fighting that one too hard, but Luke runs really deep. Glassy goes straight back up the inside, and Luke then loses out to well, he loses out to Sminotla and nearly loses out to Cosmo as well, I think. No, sorry, lost out to Sminotla. I was on the one behind. So what's going on up front? Davie just dropped back a little bit. I think this race is going to get very interesting, Kieran, because of the just complete differences in strategies at the moment. You know, looking at Glassy and Colin, it's not gone their way in the end.
Dragos is off.
Dragos is off. Yeah, he's in the gravel in the second sector. And we've got Entity, Sinful and Karting very, very close in the fight for 10th place as Sminotla gets past Glassy. I think Glassy's really struggling on his tyres here. And Inorganic, absolutely great shout in the chat there. I haven't mentioned him, but Maggot, out of nowhere, into fourth. What a race he's having as Entity looks to dive up the inside. He'll get the traction there because the Mercedes goes a bit wide. And he does get past, and that's DRS open, and he is up into 11th, and now he's going after karting in the Alpha Tauri. Yeah, great shout. I'll get on board with that now as Higgsy is past Sminotla, and now the leading McLaren as Glassy is dropping back through the field at the moment. But yeah, as I was saying, as Inorganic said in chat, Maggot having an absolute storming race so far, and Higgsy right on the back of this now. It's big battle, this one, with Sminotla in the Alpha Tauri, but Higgsy has got 5-lap fresher medium tyres, and I think Higgsy is on the best strategy at the moment. Entity gets a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. And Davie's still right behind Colin here, Kieran.
So, no, not something you usually see in RPM.
No, and that just shows how these safety cars have just changed the complete way this race was going. Higgsy fakes it on Sminotla and switches back to get the switch back, and he's done that very, very nicely. He'll get back over to the left, braking downhill, and he should have that one done. And Higgsy now is on an absolute charge. He's got to go chase after Maggot, though. He's 6.5 seconds down the road currently. So he needs to really start flying around here. And I think Sminotla actually making contact with Higgsy there a little bit, because Higgsy seemed to get a little bit out of shape. And that's really changed it. And yeah, he dropped 1 second through there, Higgsy, to Maggot ahead. Maggot now chasing after Huss, 1.3 seconds that gap, and it's coming down. But Davie will go on board with this for a bit as Glassy comes to the pits, so he's done with the hard tyres. He's not happy with them, and I think you could see that he didn't look comfortable on them at all there, Kieran.
Yeah, very unusual. Normally Glassy will be fighting in the middle with the battle, but
yeah, and he was just going backwards at that point. Colin obviously he'll be on quite similar wear.
So that's probably why Davie's keeping up with Colin.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But Davie... Oh, and we've got yellow flag.
Oh, 2 Alpha Tauris. So team collision.
Oh, and they're both. Oh, yeah, and that's brought Robin back into a little race with them at least. And well, as we watch this one going on, see what they're saying in chat. Well, I can see Wardy's mentioning Team Ferrari. He'll be happy with it though. At the moment, Colin is still holding on to first place. That'll be some very, very important points in the All Gears Championship. And Davie's still not quite able to get close to it, and it's starting to just to have some gaps forming now. We've got Entity in quite close behind Cosmo here, but Sinful also going with Entity and trying to put him under some pressure. Inorganic saying 10 laps on the soft is going to be pushing it, I think. Yeah, absolutely. And there's no more bigger expert in RPM than you, Kieran. Can you see the softs doing well here, or is it just they're just going to go completely by the end?
The softs will be on high wear, but I carried the softs a lot more laps than Glassy will be doing, so they won't be 80%.
So you think it's pretty manageable then?
Yeah, I think
maybe a bit.
Might close the gap up to Dragos.
Yeah, and he'll be hoping he can. It might just be a bit sketchy in the final lap when the grip does go a bit. But yeah, as someone mentioned just in chat there, Danos saying Colin is on tyre management. He plays with Davie. Well, we know that Colin is the king of managing the races, but Davie is still sticking there with him, and that's what you got to do. You never know. With the new assists this season, it's easier to make those mistakes, and maybe Colin could make a mistake here too. So Davie just hanging on gamely, and if you can do that, you've always got a chance. Huss actually dropping back from this battle a little bit. He is on the hard tyres, but his time might come against his teammate as the mediums might drop off in the next few laps. And Huss, I loved that angle of him coming around there. He got very, very aggressive through there and a little bit sideways. It would have been a great clip or a screenshot for him. Actually here, Davie has more ERS as well than Colin at the moment, so he's playing a bit of a long game too. But I'd imagine the mediums are going to start to feel bad around lap 16, and that's going to be 4 or 5 laps out from the finish here.
I think both their tyres, both Colin and Davie's tyres, will be very destroyed. So maybe opportunity for Huss.
Yeah, absolutely. Huss will be really looking to close that gap towards the end of the race. Maggot also in behind him. Higgsy now, he's managed to take a bit of time out of the guys behind and close up slightly to Maggot. It had been up around 8 seconds a few laps ago. Got it down to 6.5, but it might just be a little too late after getting caught up in those battles for him. Now Davie is very, very close behind Colin here. Obviously Colin knows that Davie has this 3-second penalty here. And Davie, Colin moves early, and Davie going up the inside. He'll have this done into the braking zone, keep it all together. And he does that.
Colin can have DRS.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Colin does open his DRS wide now, and he's going to try and get him down into the downhill braking session, but he can't get close enough. And Davie just bided his time, got closer and closer, and he is through and into the lead. And we're seeing an Alfa Romeo leading Colin here. Alfa Romeo's 1 and 3 at the moment. But they've both got penalties which could cost them their current positions. So Alfa Romeo still got a lot to do to bring home a great result here.
I know in the constructors, Ferrari are 1 point ahead of Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, and that's it's starting to become very, very interesting in constructors there, and it looks like Luke's just got a big gap between him and Higgsy, and it's getting bigger, so probably won't see anything come of that. We'll get back on board with Colin. We've got round 2 between Davie and Colin here. But I'm wondering if Colin has this left in his tyres. I know Wardy was saying, or no, sorry, Danos was saying in chat that it was a tyre management strategy, but Davie's still going well. Maybe Colin's struggling a little bit more than we all think at this point in time. But yeah, as Inorganic said, it's not a 3-second penalty, it's a 5-second penalty for Davie. So Davie, he does need to find 5 seconds if he wants to take the win here. But I think at least it is. But I think it'll be a huge moral boost to him if he could take it on track. Cosmo, yeah, I was about to say, drop it down. That's promoted Robin and Sinful up ahead of him and gives Entity just a little bit more breathing space, but not much because Sinful's half a second behind him. I'm staying on board for this battle for the lead, and Davie looks like he does manage to pull out a bit of a gap, but then obviously the DRS is just keeping Colin there. He can stick in that DRS. He knows he's got the 5 seconds in hand with the penalty of the Alfa Romeo. And I think he'll be happy to just claim it that way.
It's not what Davie would be wanting.
No, not at all. And Huss is actually under massive pressure from Maggot now. Maggot 1.5 behind Huss with a 3-second penalty. And Huss could potentially lose his podium here as Entity is finally passed by Sinful for 7th position. So Sinful having a very good race here and trying to help out the Mercs. I know Wardy won't be enjoying that one. That will give them a few more points in all gears. Higgsy's also closing up onto the Aston Martin of Maggot now, 5.5 seconds. Yeah, Quinn, absolutely great racing by Sinful. He's going really well in 7th here. And he's on a good little strategy there at the moment. Wardy saying, Colin's got this, just watch. Well, we're on board and we are watching. Colin's coming, but I have spoke to Colin this week, and he likes to make the pass into the downhill braking section rather than up here into the uphill. So he's now very, very close after Davie goes really deep. And Colin opens that DRS. But again, Davie seeming to get a really nice bit of traction off the corner. Yeah, he is, as you say, Kieran. Yeah, he's dropped back to 13th, and that promotes Glassy up to 12th. Glassy still a little bit off the back of the pack here, 3 seconds away from Dragos on 18 lap old hards. Quinn saying, what place do you get points in sprint? So you get 5 points for first, and then fifth gets 1 point. So only the top 5 gets points. And Colin, again, he's looking to get this on track.
Colin looks really close to Davie.
Yeah, he's getting close. But as I said, I think he's looking to make the move down the hill. But Davie just seems to get really good traction out of this corner. And these guys absolutely driving each other on, absolutely dropping Huss behind. But Colin's really, really close this time. DRS open now, that gives him a few extra miles an hour at the top speed. But he's going to be too far back again. This would have been really exciting if Davie didn't have that speeding in the pit lane penalty.
I think that's going to be his biggest regret this race.
Yeah, it's one of those that you always kick yourself for, isn't it, really? It's one of the most avoidable. And Wardy's saying Davie's got some good traction out of the corners. I think that's what's doing the damage for Colin here at the moment. Colin's got really good mid-corner speed, but for the DRS zones, Davie just seems to pull away through the first sector and then first section of the DRS, and then he can't quite get that move done. And Maggot actually now, I don't know if he's made a mistake, but he's dropped back from Huss a little bit, 2.3 seconds, and Higgsy only 4 seconds off him now, but it's only 2 laps remaining. I'm seeing Dragos close behind Sminotla, and Glassy actually is right behind Dragos now.
There were the DRS train forming then.
Yeah, and that's where the closest battling, apart from for first place, is going on. I'm going to keep on board with this, though. And Colin has actually been charging his battery. Wardy says exactly that. I've just noticed that he was on 40% when he was getting overtaken, but he's been charging it for a few laps, and he's going to make a push for it on the final lap, I think, Colin. Right, and as we come round for the final lap of the Austrian Grand Prix here, Colin very, very close in behind. He will get the win as it stands anyway with Davie's penalty in front, but let's see if he can do it on track. And now he's starting to burn that ERS, and he's starting to get very, very close. Davie moves to the inside to defend. Colin will get close and try and get the traction out of here. This could be his last opportunity. He's putting his ERS on now as he does the DRS, and he's going to be a bit too far back again. We've got a yellow flag somewhere. I think that's an Alpha Tauri or a Haas off the back.
I think that was Robin.
Was it Robin? Yeah. Yeah, it looks to be. He's dropping time a lot to Glassy there. And Glassy making a move up into 10th on Sminotla. And Colin is going to have to settle for second place on track here with Davie. Absolutely brilliant race from him. Shame about his penalty. He'll take first on track, but second overall when the race is finished. And a great battle from these guys. A bit of cat and mouse, and showing you how those tyres played into it. As Davie takes the win on track, but second overall. Huss rounds the final corner. Will it be enough? It won't be, because Maggot will get promoted because of the penalty, so Maggot takes the podium. Higgsy, what a race. Up to 5th. Amazing. Luke also, this is like the old Luke we've seen. 6th place, great racecraft. And a special shout out to Sinful here, who has had a great race as well, bringing it home in 7th. Entity will come home in 8th, followed by Dragos 9th. Oh, it might. Dragos went very wide. Or was it Entity there? Someone went really wide. Oh, it was Cosmo. And Glassy gets promoted by virtue of a penalty. Inorganic saying Higgsy driver of the week. Yeah, I think Higgsy is definitely in a position to get driver of the week there. Great race. I'd also mention Huss, Davie and Colin also going really well. Maggot, to be fair, the whole top 5 there I thought were brilliant, as well as Sinful and Luke. Some really good racing. And what a race for the Alfa Romeo boys. 2nd and 4th in the end. It was very close to being 1st and 3rd. Oh,
Yeah, Alfa Romeo have gained 2 points on Ferrari in the constructors.
Yeah, and I could take a breath now. So what did you think of that, Kieran? Enjoy that one?
Yep, loved it.
Yeah, and I think it really adds something with the sprint as well. It's a bit more jeopardy. I think you're having to try and balance risk and reward in that sprint race as well. And I will see if we can get, I know it's your least favourite part, Kieran, but I will see if I can get the drivers in chat just for an interview. But who was your driver of the day for today?
I think I said last week, but you know he did it again. Just gained 1 extra position. Was Higgsy.
Yeah, he was mega today. Yeah, I thought Higgsy, and he just kept himself out of trouble. There was a lot of stuff going on around him, and he managed to keep himself out of trouble very nicely there. And it really came to fruition in the end. I thought Huss was a bit unlucky as well, losing it. But both Alfa Romeos losing out on penalties in the end. And Volcano got very unlucky today because he looked very, very quick.
Oh yeah, Volcano had the DNF.
Yeah, because Volcano, I got caught up in the incident that Glassy was involved in. And would you look at this? We have the king of RPM, Forza Ferrari, it's been said in chat. And here is the man they're all looking to hear from as well. We're being joined by Davie, but we'll start with Colin. First in the chat in first place. Colin, good evening. Are you there, Colin?
I can't hear Colin.
I don't think we've got him. He might be on mute at the moment.
Right. Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Sorry.
And Colin. Well, that was exciting, wasn't it?
Yes and no. That was an up and down race. I got an amazing start in the sprint, and then some Alfa or some green turd stopped on the track, and I hit that.
Yeah, I bet you were thinking that might have been me in that Aston Martin. You've seen an
Aston
Martin spinning, you think that's
sabotage for Jones.
Yeah, I only paid him £10 for that, but yeah, I mean that was a nightmare for you then. But then you seem to pick your way through again, get up to a fairly decent spot. I thought you did brilliantly in the race, but that second safety car that threw a bit of a spanner in the works, didn't it?
It did, but I knew I was staying out on the hard tyres, and that was it, regardless of what happened.
Yeah, and you had an excellent battle with Davie there at the end. It was great for us to watch. Obviously, you had the 5-second penalty, which ultimately would give you the position anyway. But what was going on there? We thought maybe you were tyre management or you were just quite calm with the penalty. But he seemed to just wait.
I was surprised at Huss's pace, and my concern was that Davie was going to back me up so they could start playing games. So I pushed for like the first 5 laps to make a gap, and then after that, Davie was free to try and pass me, and I would have just sat in his DRS.
Yeah, and it was a great battle to watch. I mean, it was just completely different strategies starting to play out. We were getting worried for a second because Inorganic was doing his predictions again, and I think Glassy had a bit
mentioned a few times.
Colin you were up there first, and I thought, oh, this is going wrong now because he's already cursed Glassy and he cursed Volcano with a retirement. So I thought he's not going to get all 3, is he? But yeah, you held on to it, and I do
Hello.
believe that puts you top. And we've got another driver here. Hello.
Yeah, the other 1986 Scotsman. Yeah, I've just been listening in. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Obviously, Colin was on old hards, so that was made it easier for me. But I just stayed in his DRS and thought I would hang on. But like as I've said in the chat, like I've tried to save my race and it's given me a 10-second video again. But my penalty was because Dragos hit me into the pits and made me speed. So like I didn't even get a warning the whole race, so I was basically just driving around thinking
We'll
I
have
didn't
to
have a penalty.
try and
But
get
as I
a
say,
clip of
yeah,
that though, if you can,
yeah.
or
So
see
I'm
if
going to
someone's
try
got
and
one.
message Dragos because he just basically nudged me into the pits and made me speed. So I
So you
didn't
hear it
see.
here
Yeah,
first. This might go to the steward's room, Colin.
Ken, I knew that was coming. I knew it. I was sitting there going, he's going to turn around and say it's not warranted. I knew it.
yeah. I mean, I knew it. Like, I knew I was on the best tire, and obviously, and like I didn't have any warnings the whole race, so I was just biding my time. But I wish like this. Yeah, I wish there was a way to like tell people that this 5 second isn't warranted because I don't think Colin would have let me pass so easily. I know he was. I knew his plan was to sit in my DRS and save a bit of ERS, but at the same time, I think if he knew that my penalty wasn't warranted, he might have chucked it up the
I think
inside or.
the problem is with having the live race control, which I agree would be great, is I'm also chief steward, and I
Yeah.
think I would have found a way to give everyone penalties, but the Aston Martin's there. We're sitting in 8th in the all gear, so I think everyone would cut us a bit of slack and get us some points. But yeah, so how did you find the sprint, Davie? A bit tense. We saw some crazy battling in the middle of the field there.
Yeah, I started really well. I got a good start, and I've kind of followed Colin up through the chaos at the start. I think he was maybe 1 or 2 positions ahead of me, and then I think yeah, after that he got caught up in that collision, which I managed to kind of skip through, and then I think it was Cosmos that
Yeah,
I went round outside of him at turn three, and he just clipped my back wheel and spun me. I think it actually might have been before that happened because it knocked as I spun. I think Higgsy kind of got mixed up in that, and it put him out of the race.
yeah.
But yeah, I think Cosmos just flicked my back tire in that turn three, so I do have that race saved, so I can post a video for that. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we
yeah.
saw
So
little
the sprint
bits of
race was good.
contact quite often through the field. I think the issue is with the tight racing in the sprint race there, everyone there was like sometimes 5 or 6 cars battling for the same piece of track. I know Glassy ran into the back of Andrew, which would then put Volcano out because I think Andrew then tapped him. So I think it's a bit of a war of attrition round there. If you can get round no penalties and avoid the
Yeah,
incidents,
yeah.
that can just
That
promote you.
Glassy incident was. I was right behind them, and I went to the outside of Glassy to put the pressure on him. And I thought if I go to the outside, he might break a bit late and come. Yeah, and it might get close with Andrew, and then it did. It actually happened exactly as I wanted it to. Basically, I went to the outside. Glassy went to the inside, broke far too late, hit Andrew, and I just skipped around the outside up to second. So that worked out quite nicely for me.
Yeah, and that was it Andrew that then hit him? Yeah, that was like after
Well,
Andrew
Glassy
lost
hit
traction.
Andrew, but I'm not sure what happened after that. To be
Yeah,
honest.
we couldn't quite pick it up. We were, to be honest, we were just theorising, me and Kieran. I think if you ever watch my commentary, you know that most of the time I
I
have
watched it
no
quite
idea
closely.
what's going on. Just guessing. I
Yeah.
every now and then just say, "Oh, there's a car going around there," and everyone's like, "Yeah, of course there is. It's racing." But yeah, congratulations, guys, tonight. That actually puts you 1 and 2 in the championship. Also,
Yeah.
1 and 2 Ferrari pulling ahead in the constructors, so really close. I don't think we got Maggot to join, but Maggot did a brilliant race as well tonight.
Yeah,
So
he
if
did.
he's
His pace
listening
was
in,
good as well.
yeah,
Flying the flag for Scotland, I love it.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. But thingy, Huss, as you say, Huss's pace was great on those hards. He was keeping within a second, 2 seconds. It was just
Well, yeah,
over.
Huss sitting 4th in the championship as well, and
Yeah,
Higgsy as well. I thought did brilliantly, up from 20th in the race. He finished 5th at the end there. So the
yeah,
I've got about 5 driver of the week nominees from this race. If anyone wants to give me a bribe in the DMs, I can put you forward. But yeah, thanks for joining, guys. Great race. Good luck for next week.
Cheers, guys.
And
cheers. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too, mate. And for next week, we will be in. Where are we next week? Colin, you must know this. Mexico. I will not be here for commentary next week. We're going to have Inorganic and Kieran here doing commentary. I will be back for Singapore, and then they'll be for Monza again. So, Kieran, you got any last words you want to say?
It was a good race. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that statement. It was a great race to watch. And yeah, as I said, everyone watching, Kieran will be here next week to take you through the trials and tribulations of Premier Division. This has been RPM on a Thursday night, and we will see you next week, same time at Mexico. Thanks for watching, guys.